Cops of Reddit, what is the most suspicious thing you've ever caught somebody doing for a totally legitimate reason? At around 2 a.m. on a weeknight, I see a guy bolt from a house in a quiet residential burglary hotspot. His face is covered, he's wearing sunglasses or something similar and the kind of dark clothing you catch burglars in. As I follow him and start to shout up on the radio, the cars parked between us clear to reveal he is running behind the tiniest dog I've ever seen, a clearly uncontrollable pooch that is having the time of its life. I just kept going. Prior U.S. Coast Guard. We were doing a security boarding on a vessel planning on entering port with some hazardous cargo. Me and one other guy are in the engine room, making sure everything is kosher, when we catch a glimpse of some boots barely sticking out from under a piece of machinery. Since, as far as we knew, all crew were present and accounted for above deck, we were understandably concerned. We radio up asking about it, get told all present and accounted for up above. So we're thinking stowaway or someone being smuggled. Luckily it was neither, just a dude who legit fell asleep while doing some maintenance. He shared a name with one of the other crew, so that's how we missed his absence. Apparently they, our guy up above, checked the same guy twice. Go fig. Actual cop here. Edit, damn. You all just put me over 200,000 user karma with this after 7 Reddit years. I work midnights and one night I'm sitting in my cruiser at like 2 a.m. doing paperwork. I see an older model car driving slowly around the area and then pull into an abandoned parking lot and black out in the corner by the woods. No lighting. This is for a building that is being torn down. This is not normal. So I'll look into it. I pull up to him and get out. How are you doing? I asked. What's going on in this parking lot tonight? He's got bags full of something in his back seat, and he's alone. He's an older guy and he seems a little off. He tells me I'm here to feed the cats. I think to myself that this is a bullshit answer and attempt to call his bluff. Okay. Where are the cats? Then like 40 cats come running out of the woods. The guys asks may I say I'm sure. He gets out of the car and starts feeding the cats. Dry food from his bags, the closest thing I can describe it as was the scene in Ace Ventura where his pets all come out of hiding. Okay. Go on about your business. I guess. And I left. Edit, I'm verified r/protect and serve. Cop here, well technically military really. I'm an officer with the Portuguese National Republican Guard, similar to the French gendarmes. We're generally responsible for policing rural low population areas, though we do also take on some military/expeditionary roles, like our peacekeeping presence in Timor. The point is, if you live in rural Portugal, we're the ones who are going to come when you need help, or have trouble. About 2 years ago there was a murder, old man was stabbed and bled out in his kitchen, the wife came home to find him dead lying in the counter. She called 112, 911 equivalent, and I was dispatched along with some colleagues. Paramedics confirmed the death on site, but we didn't want to move the body before the judiciary police could have a look and do forensics. Not only that, but the old lady wasn't doing so good with the shock, so after about 20 minutes of her hyperventilating we got her in the ambulance and paramedics took her to the hospital. That means me and my colleague were left guarding the body and trying to keep things as we found them, while still looking around for evidence. About an hour later we hear a truck arrive. My colleague goes up from the basement where we were, but I stay longer to have a better look around. Come back up 10 minutes later to find the body gone. I look outside and see 2 guys shoving it into the back of a nondescriptive refrigerated truck. I come out running and yelling with my gun out, thinking the murderer was back and trying to cover their tracks. My colleague steps out from behind the truck. Turns out the morgue's vehicle was broken, and they were using a rental to transport the bodies. The 2 guys I saw were morgue workers just putting the body in the truck to carry it to the morgue, while my colleague was talking with a third. The judiciary police only came about 2 hours later. My husband told me a story of one time when he was patrolling around and he spotted a guy who was in a straitjacket come round the corner of town that he was patrolling, instantly suspicious. He ran over and grabbed him and asked him what he was doing. He said he was just messing around with it with a friend, but he lost his friend and can't get out. So my husband asked to call his friend just in case, and lo and behold, he wasn't even lying. My cousin is a cop and told us the story of seeing a car driving slowly at about 3 a.m. through a neighborhood that had several break-ins. He thinks to himself that they're looking for a target, so he puts on his lights and pulls them over. He walks up and the driver puts the window down and she turns to look at him with fire in her eyes and says, in a harsh whisper, "This had better be important because I just got the baby to sleep." He looks in the back and there's a baby in a car seat, sound asleep. The memory of what it was like when his babies wouldn't sleep rushes back, and he says, "Oh no. I'm so sorry. Never mind." And goes back to his car. She drives away slowly. He's just glad he didn't wake the baby. Not a cop, but I wanted to make my father's headstone area look a little better. I thought planting a lavender on either side of the headstone. Lavender look nice and do pretty well when neglected. In case you didn't know it, you draw a lot of attention at a cemetery when you start digging near a grave with a full-sized shovel. Obligatory anecdote. Funniest story of mine about this stuff. Years and years ago. Okay, several decades ago. So I'm old, sue me. Guy was arrested for arson. A neighbor in a subdivision backing up to the farm saw him methodically move all the valuables out of the barn over a period of a week. Then closely mowed the hayfields for about 50 yards radius all around the barn. He was puzzling over the mowing when he noticed the farmer walk all around the barn, pouring something from a blue gas can right at the bottom of the barn walls. Neighbor looks away for less than a minute. When he looks back, the barn is fully engulfed in flames. He calls the fire department and reports the farmer has set his barn on fire, with gas, or something. Fire department is on scene in about 5 minutes, and reports the barn is already beyond saving. They do smell diesel fuel. A quick investigation says it's arson, field is mowed to prevent spread. The burned barn has nothing much in it, but the other barn and shed overhang has a lot of stuff recently placed, with grass underneath still green. Definite marks of petroleum accelerant. They arrest the farmer on the spot. He says nothing. Farmer refuses to talk to the DA and asks for his lawyer. I am on the jury where the prosecution states they will prove the farmer set his own barn on fire. Barn was insured, insurance fraud was the motive. They call all the expected witnesses, the neighbor, play the 911 call, interview the fireman who smelled fuel and saw marks of accelerant on the ground, etc. Defense does no cross-examination at all. Prosecution is done, defense has their turn. Defense calls the farmer, and first question asked is, let's cut to the chase. Did you burn your barn down? Yup. Why did you do it? It was old, and rotten, with termites. Going to fall down. Not safe. Have you always burned down old farm buildings? Yep, and my daddy did before me. It's a farm. Are you aware that you need a permit to burn debris in this county? Been doing it like that on this farm since we had dangerous engines, never had no permit. The fine is up to $50. Oh, wait, I forgot, you're zoned active agriculture, and are exempt, no permit needed. But, why didn't you tell any of this to the police? They didn't ask till after they put handcuffs on me and took me to the police station. They told me anything I said would be used against me, and said I had the right to remain silent, and then some lawyer guy came in and told me I was going to prison for insurance fraud. I remember Perry Mason said don't talk to anyone but your lawyer. So I didn't. Did you file an insurance claim? What for? The barn wasn't worth anything in that state, and I moved all the stuff out. I suggested we try to talk them out of this. You said you wanted your day in court. What's up with that? They came on my land, arrested me without telling me what for. Told me later it was for arson and insurance fraud, and put that in the newspapers. All my friends, relatives, and neighbors know about this. They made me look dishonest. I want to make sure everyone knows the real facts. I figure this is better than them just dropping it, and everyone wondering whether they just decided not to send an old man to prison. Defense rests. It was epic. Actual cop here too. Nothing major, but one night I come across a pickup truck parked behind a small business, backed up to the dumpster. Guy is next to the truck emptying out trash from the bed of the truck and throwing it into the dumpster. Figured it was someone illegally dumping their crap in someone else's dumpster to avoid having to go to the landfill. Make contact with the guy who says he owns the business and that he is renovating his home, but ran out of room in his dumpster there. He comes back listed as the contact/key holder for the business, and the truck he was driving was registered to the business, so it was all good. Not exciting, I know.